Melissa, what's your favorite type of cookie? You were just talking to me about cookies before we started recording here.
Oof. Name brand. You ever have somebody...
Okay.
You ever think you're eating an Oreo and then you put it in your mouth and you realize it's like a store brand Oreo?
Yeah.
And it's only like 20% as good as a real Oreo?
Yeah, like the cookies are a little bit softer or the cream is like extra sweet or something. And just like, what is this?
Yeah. It tastes like pennies or something. It's a bad time.
So would you say in Oreo is your favorite?
I don't
want the
like.
name
I love
brand
them.
stuff, but like what kind of cookie?
All of them. Like, I don't think there's a cookie I don't like. I'm not crazy about a peanut butter cookie by itself. I love peanut butter, but peanut butter is best as part of an ensemble cast.
Sure,
You need like a chocolate or something in there, I think, to really make peanut butter sing.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're more for the like cookie charcuterie or just
yeah. Oh, heckin' all of them. I'll take a biscotti. I'll take like a little pizzelle, one of those twirly, like crispy cookie straws. Anything.
Okay.
Anything you could count as a cookie, I will eat it.
Okay. See, this just tells me how lame I am, because in exactly the same way that I really only like pepperoni pizza, I really only like chocolate chip cookies. I mean, I like other ones too, but that is like my go-to favorite. Just like I have to have chocolate chip.
It is the best cookie. I don't think that's any kind of a contest.
Sure, yeah, it's number one. But it's like if you can't. If you go to like a bakery or something and they have cookies, or like a cookie shop, I don't know if they have cookie shops.
Yeah.
Well, they have ones you can like get cookies delivered.
Yeah.
Like Insomniac cookies or Red Eye cookies and stuff like that. But if they can't make a good chocolate chip cookie, what business do they have making cookies? You know what I mean? Like they just you have to get that right.
Where have you had the best chocolate chip cookie?
I think I have to go for like the plain old like homemade chocolate chip. I've had some good ones made from scratch, but
Yeah.
I don't know what recipe they used or remember exactly at whose house it was at or something. But like,
It was the Nestle Toll House.
right, yeah. No, but like I'm still like kind of partial to just like the like Pillsbury cookie dough that you get in the like
Ooh, yeah.
roll and you bake them yourself. They're so good. Because you can make them small, you can make them large, you can make them thick, you can make them skinny. You can like there's just as much as you want. So good.
Any shape, any size.
Yeah.
Cookie cutter 'em.
Exactly.
I do love a homemade cookie. I like to make a homemade cookie. That's one of the things I think I'm best at. But the best chocolate chip cookie I've ever had from anywhere else in my life, I think it will always be the City Museum, which is that wacky museum we have here in St. Louis I've told you
Yeah.
about, that's like an art exhibit where you can climb on everything. They've got a really nice little cafe in there that is amazing, big, hot chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
Whew.
Good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 109, I believe, of the Whatnauts Captain's Log. Let me double check on that. I'm totally forgetting all the numbers now on this stuff. 108 is what we did last week, so we are correct. 109 of the Whatnauts Captain's Log. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson.
Yes.
Melissa, how has your week been?
It's okay. I'm sitting in a different chair.
Oh, I did not notice. Is there something wrong with your old
How
one?
could you have? No, it's good. I went to my office and got my office chair.
Ah.
Now, originally, when they sent us home
Stealing
and they
chairs.
said we could take... No, well, they said
I
we
see.
could take the computer equipment home, but they're like, the chairs stay in the office. And I eventually bought myself a new desk chair, which has been working good. But I think it's like, that's not a 40-hour-a-week chair.
Yeah.
And I'm in it for 50 plus hours every week because I do all my office work, all my podcasting, watching movie streams, sitting here at my computer, like video chatting with friends. Like I do all of it at this desk in that chair.
That makes sense.
And it wasn't like quite up to all those extracurricular hours. And I've been having a lot of back pain lately. So I asked my HR manager, like, can I go get my chair? And she's like, I didn't tell you no. You didn't hear it from me. My manager took her chair. I'm like, if Tracy can do it, so can I.
Yeah. Chairs are up for grabs. Go get them.
Yeah. It's heavy.
Yeah.
I couldn't, me and my roommate both together had to carry this up the stairs and like take a break every couple stairs. I couldn't believe how heavy this chair is.
That's why I went all out for the one that I'm sitting in right now. The big old gamer chair makes me a real gamer. Like I was just like, I don't like, I could get one on Amazon for $50, you know, and it'd be fine. I'm sure it would totally work. But I was like, I want something. I'm going to be sitting here a lot, especially if I'm working from home or stuff like that. I want to be comfortable and like, not have problems. And it came with like a lumbar pillow and a headrest pillow and stuff like that, which I don't have them on. But it's nice. It's good stuff. Chairs are important.
Cool. Chairs are important. Like if we did I tell you that when I first started dating my first boyfriend, he didn't own any furniture?
I don't think you've mentioned that. No, but that sounds about right.
So he was from Alaska and he took a job here in St. Louis. This is what he was doing here. And I met him, I think like a week or two after he had moved here. Mm-hmm. And he didn't think he was going to get this job. When he got the job, he's like, I'm moving there right away. And so he wasn't prepared to move across the continent. Right. And he didn't have any money. Like the job he got paid well, but he spent like all the money he had just on the expenses to move here initially. And he's got this nice apartment.
They didn't pay to move him.
I guess not, or I guess not enough to move you and your giant dog from Alaska to Missouri.
Gotcha, yeah. Seems like it's doable, but oh well.
So he's in this nice, very nice, like 2-bedroom apartment. It had to be 2 bedrooms because it was the only apartment around he could find that would let him have a giant German Shepherd.
Sure.
The only things in the apartment are a twin mattress on the floor for him and a dog bed. There's nothing.
That was probably
it's a series
around the same size, right? For the big dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Practically the same. It was just a series of empty rooms. For our 2-month anniversary, I took him to IKEA so that he could buy a table for the first time. Chairs for the first time.
That's funny.
I think eventually after we broke up, he got a real bed.
I'm a real bed. I bought a new plant friend today.
Oh.
It's a fake one, but it's a new plant friend. He came today, and it's like a 3.5 foot tall, like fake bamboo plant. Yeah, like it's up to like my ribs. Ish. It's a good size. Can't really say it looks particularly real. But then again, my room is mostly dark since I have like the blackout curtains and all the like neon lights and stuff, much like you guys can see here on my screen right now. But that's me. I'm at that stage where I'm like I'm buying fake house plants and I'm buying shelves for the wall and stuff like that. So.
I got big dreams of a new couch, but that's such a huge purchase. I'm trying to decide if I should save all of my money for that or try and do something now to spruce up the couch I already have. Like, is it worth sinking the, I don't know, $50 into like some new throw pillows and blankets or something? Or do I
Yeah.
just sock that away for real big adult woman couch?
Who knows? Who knows? It's
Mm.
yeah. Money, couches, all this stuff. But before we got onto all of that, the one thing I was gonna mention about chairs that
Yeah.
to me I find fascinating because I'm a designer is
Yeah.
one of the like weird questions that they like brought up in school is like, why do we keep designing chairs? Like, you'd think we would have found the perfect chair by now and be like, that's it. We're done with chairs. All chairs look like this now. And we just continually design new chairs. And they always look different. Right? Like, I find that weird. And baffling.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd think after Eames did it, we would all be in an Eames chair from like 1955 onwards.
Right? Or like forks. Like, they all kind of look the same. Right? Like we've found the ideal shape for a fork, basically.
Oh my god. What if you found a fork that had extra tines on it? Would you feel scared?
What if it was just a big rake? Just extra wide.
Just a mouth rake. Do you think somebody like Andre the Giant had to get a fork with extra tines on it for his big mouth? It's like he's eating off a comb.
It's just one of those like handheld garden rakes, but right with the like
for
the
a
spade.
Desktop bonsai garden.
Yeah. That's great. Oh man, good stuff. Melissa, I almost backed out this week of the podcast just because I was like, I don't know if I really have much to say this week. Like
you had doubts.
I not like backed out or had doubts and stuff like that. It was like I have stuff to talk about, but it's not much. What if we just save it for next week and stuff like that? But you were like, I have some things. So I was like, okay, I can get one or two more things. We'll make it through. But
you did write down one.
I wrote down two things on there.
Oh, two things.
There is one I don't have written down because I wasn't sure how to write it down. We'll get to that later on. But
all right.
But yeah, like I almost backed out, but I'm glad we're here. I'm happy to be here on the podcast because this is one of my favorite things. Just end of the week.
Yeah.
I get to be here and hang out with you, and I get to podcast, and we just get to have fun.
Yeah, just talk about stuff. We have a bunch of DC trailers to talk about because when we recorded last week, I think we had some news and like, costume photos and things like that, but it was like Saturday or Sunday
DC
after we had
fandom
recorded
was happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Like we missed all of the trailers. So we got trailers for, outside of DC, still in the WF family, we got Tenet, but then we also got The Batman, two different, preview things for the Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman 84, and Snyder Cut.
Yeah. Yeah, so we got a bunch of that stuff to talk about. Let's dive in right away to Batman.
Yeah.
'Cause I think that's like the big one that I think that everyone is talking about. So I'm assuming you saw this trailer.
Oh, yeah, several times.
Good. What did you think? How is the Batman sitting with you?
I like it. It's amazing how much it feels like we have, even though I know they've only shot like 20%. Like this trailer doesn't feel like anything's missing. So way to go. Good editing job on that.
Yeah. Good stuff indeed.
I dig the grungy vibe to it. Like it feels appropriate. Like every type of darkness they have feels like the type of darkness they need. Nothing's going overboard. I think it's weird that the Riddler writes in that font. I've never seen human handwriting like that font.
I mean, maybe
but I guess
he's doing the thing where he, like, to hide his true handwriting, he's writing with his opposite hand. I don't know. Or he's making someone else do it, like he's making a child write it or something. I don't know.
It's just, I hope it's just like his nephew and not a kid he's kidnapped.
It's theater. It is theater, right? He is a thespian on the stage of life.
Yeah, very, very dramatic. I hope that's how Paul Dano talks when we meet him. How are you feeling about this? Because you know more about Batman than I do.
Yeah, I like it. I don't think they're revealing much yet. Like, there's a lot in this that you're like, okay, it looks like the Riddler, but those guys look like clown thugs. Okay. I like their Jim Gordon. I would love that. Weren't they gonna do a series on him? I know they're doing like the
we were just
prequel.
talking about this like a month or two ago. Yeah, there is gonna be a like a Gotham Police Department drama for HBO Max.
It's like the year one story.
It seems like it's a prequel, but like probably shortly before this, maybe when they're like just starting to see that there's extraordinary people around. Be that extraordinary in terms of be that, you know, people with superpowers are just, wait a minute, this guy's a costume? We're done with ski masks. You're wearing an entirely green suit. Okay.
Theater, I tell you, theater.
Which Batman is your Batman?
Kevin Conroy from the animated series.
Probably for me too, but I was watching the trailer for The Batman, and I feel like when I think of Batman, I also think of the Kevin Conroy one, but I have not seen that much of any of the shows he's been in. I've seen a decent amount, but I feel like less than most other people. Sure. I don't know why. I feel like I've seen all of the Batman almost equally.
Yeah.
Throughout my life.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of preference for one versus another. And I'm like,
he was
maybe
just so
this one
prevalent
will be
on
mine.
TV and the Justice League series and a bunch of the video games and stuff that he was like the defining voice of Batman. Because I was also too young to really watch those like darker Joel Schumacher, not those ones.
The Tim Burton ones?
Yeah, the Tim Burton ones. I wasn't old enough to really watch those yet, so like that was the Batman. When I read the comics and stuff, like, it's still like that's the voice I hear in my head. But this trailer actually really reminded me of the animated series, because it has this almost like weird timeless, it feels like it's almost the 1930s, but it's not, because that SUV that crashes is like a modern day like black SUV, and it's not like some older car, and the Batmobile looks like a newer modern thing, but there's just something about it. The way it's shot, the way it looks, like the photography of the whole thing, the cinematography, just looks like it's in this like timeless, not really 1920s. You don't really know what year it is. Like, that was the thing about the animated series, is they never like told you what year it was. The cars and stuff looked older, but the technology was more advanced and stuff like that. So it was this like weird mishmash of stuff that made it feel timeless. And that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting with this one, and I really liked that. I also like that the Batman is younger. He looks more agile, right? And instead of like stiff, being like, but like, I like that. I saw someone on Twitter being like, he is younger, he will make mistakes, he will probably be overly violent in certain spots.
I thought you were going to say he is younger, he will make out.
He is younger. He will make out with Catwoman.
Yeah, our sexiest Batman yet.
But like, yeah, because there's that one scene where he just fucking ruins that one dude's day, and I like seeing that stuff on one sense, because I do kind of just want to see Batman completely ruin some people, but at the same time, like I also know that like he's not there to kill people. Like he's not like he does want to intimidate them and hurt them and stuff like that, so that they don't continue to do this stuff. Job he sure has done. But yeah, like it's this weird thing of like it feels like he's still learning the ropes of like what is too much, what is too far.
Yeah.
Whereas like I was about to say Scott Snyder, Zack Snyder's Batman, seemed to just have no regard for that stuff. Like he just did whatever he felt was necessary, which is why a lot of people didn't feel like that was Batman, just because like Batman, his whole thing is he hates guns. Why is he using guns in this thing? And I think I've talked about it on I don't know if this podcast or something on the review show, but it's oftentimes like not the fact that Batman uses guns or that Superman does kill. It's the stories they're telling with that stuff and like how they approach those topics. And it just like those older versions of Batman, or I guess that version in particular just didn't feel like Batman because of that. They just didn't tell that story particularly well. So I'm interested to see this one, but I really don't feel like it showed us much.
I don't know. It showed us everything it could show us, and it's fine by me. I'm excited for it. This is it's probably the this and the Suicide Squad. Very excited for that one too. They've got an interesting slate coming up. I'm very pumped for these.
Yeah, I see the Batman thing was more of a tone piece for me with the like the like Nirvana.
It's a mood board.
That was a cover, right? Because it was like a slowed down version of that song, I think. But
I don't know. I watched the new Rockstars YouTube channel do a breakdown on that trailer, a breakdown on some of the behind the scenes footage they showed us for Suicide Squad, a breakdown on the Snyder Cut trailer, and they're all like really comprehensive breakdowns. Like I was reading something on the channel the other day about how they don't try and be the first people out, they try and be a day later and much more comprehensive with what it is they're talking about. And they did a whole bit on how the Nirvana song in the Batman trailer was particularly fitting because it is the last song on that album. But if you let it play after like 10 minutes of silence, there's like a hidden track to it that sort of starts out of nowhere and startles you.
Remember when that was a thing on CDs? Hidden track. You can't do that with Spotify, right? Because it just lists them all there. Good times. Growing up in the 90s.
DVD Easter eggs.
Yeah.
I don't know how often that still happens. I don't remember the most recent movie or TV show I've heard of that had a hidden Easter egg.
But like, yeah, like this, it to me was really more of a tone piece of just like, this is what the atmosphere, this is what the tone of this movie is going to be like. And I loved it. I was like, yes, this feels great. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Promising. For Suicide Squad, we got a roll call video that's just like everyone's designs and their names and the actors' names and like a comparison picture of the original comic.
Yeah,
book
so
character.
I saw that one. I didn't see the other thing that they put out.
It's like a behind the scenes video where it's like a lot of the cast and crew talking about the experience of
Okay.
making the movie. Like there's no real footage, but you see a lot of on set stuff that gives you a sense of what the movie's going to look like.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm excited about that one because I think with that one too, I don't recognize this song that they played in that like roll call thing.
No.
But it also it just gave you a certain mood with that where it seemed like it's hard to explain because like it seemed fun and distorted and gritty and stuff, but it wasn't totally fast paced and upbeat that you would think would go with like a Suicide Squad balls to the wall kind of thing. It was a little bit more subdued, but there was this like this like grittiness behind it that made it feel like something was about to pop off, if that made sense.
I went to the YouTube page for that Suicide Squad roll call video to see if it listed what the name of the song was, and one of the comments just says, Polka Dot Man enters the chat. Everybody likes this. Which is true. I don't heckin' know who or what a Polka Dot Man is, but I'm very excited to find out.
Like, that's the thing. There's so many just terrible comic book villains out there. Let's see. Polka Dot Man. You see comics. Let's look him up so we can see what his actual origin is. Okay, here is Polka Dot Man from the Batman wiki on Fandom. Polka Dot Man, also known as Mr. Polka Dot, was a minor supervillain who fought Batman and Robin early in their careers. Maybe he'll be in the Batman. And he gets put in... No, I'm kidding. He became known for committing grandiose crimes. Theater! I tell you, theater! Revolving around a bizarre theme of polka dots. The spotted pattern on the polka dots man's gimmicked costume also concealed a variety of hidden weapons. Interesting. Okay. Let's see. Powers and abilities. Whether he created the technology himself or stole it is unknown, but Abner Krills, his name...
Stole it.
You never know. Maybe he stole it.
From who? There's there's two different people who one invented it, two wanted it enough to take it.
They just say the technology, so they aren't necessarily saying the suit.
Yeah.
Maybe he stole some kind of technology that like opens a portal to something, and he like incorporated that into his suit. I don't know, but it says whether he created the technology himself or stole it is unknown. But Abner Krill's homemade costume, I guess that answers your question right there. It's homemade. Possessed potent offensive capabilities in the form of its polka dot pattern. When attached to the costume, the dots were inert. But once removed, they invariably enlarged in size and became different devices, which would aid in his crime spree. To prevent his discarded technology from being retrieved or inspected, Krill rigged the gimmicked dots with a self-destruct mechanism that automatically engaged after they had served their intended purpose. Maintenance of the electronic suit was expensive, as were the gimmicked dots, and Krill was unable to afford either during periods of insolvency. A flying buzzsaw dot, a flying saucer dot, a sun dot, a bubble dot, fist dots, hole dot. Black hole, or a black polka dot, simply referred to as a hole by Polka Dot Man. Had opened up what appeared to be a teleportation transport system that was presumably developed with assistance from Immortus. I don't know who Immortus is.
I don't need to worry about characters that aren't even in this roll call.
Apparently he was on an episode of The Brave and the Bold, which, by the way, go watch Batman the Brave and the Bold. That cartoon is fantastic.
That's the one with the musical episode,
I think so,
right?
yeah. Well, there was a one where Batman sang in the animated series.
No, well, there's...
And Wonder Woman was turned into a pig in that one, I think.
You've told me about this before.
No, Batman Brave and the Bold is more a reference to like the older Golden Age comics where it's super cheesy. It's super, Aquaman is just really annoying and being like, I am Aquaman, haha. I'm sitting here. Apparently, Polka Dot Man appears in Lego DC Supervillains, voiced by Greg Miller of Kinda Funny, who I'm a big fan of their podcasts and stuff like that. I am often seen on these shows in one of their shirts. There you go. Fun stuff.
You are. Oh, heck. So I just Googled egghead.
Egg foo. Is that who you're looking up?
Egghead, the Batman villain Egghead. I just wanted to look at him. And I found an article from last year that says Seinfeld star Jason Alexander wants to play the Batman villain Egghead, and he should be allowed to.
Wow. Was he at the... No, because I see something. Lego Batman movie. Who is Egghead? On YouTube.
Egghead.
There's some...
Oh, he's just very smart. Originally, he was Vincent Price, my homeboy.
Yeah, I see those pictures. So you have something written down here on our list of topics and stuff for us to make our own Suicide Squad out of D-list wacky villains. And you mentioned Egghead. However, when I was looking up like worst DC villains of all time, or like the lamest DC villains, one that kept popping up was like Egg Foo or something. I don't know. I've never even heard of this guy. Let me see if I can find an article that has him and send you the link or something. But yeah, it's just this like giant egg-shaped looking thing with this like super racist like Fu Manchu kind of thing. I think he was actually supposed to be Asian or something. I don't know. Let me see if where was this? No, didn't look at that article. Okay, CBR has to have something. No, but they do have that one. I do want to mention that one. God, where is this thing? Like, I was looking at this stuff before we were recording, and it was everywhere. And now I can't seem to... Oh, here we go. Okay, let me send you this link. I will post it on the document here, so you can...
I'm still looking at pictures of eggheads. I'll stop.
So if you open that link and if you scroll down to number 9 on that list, it's a list of like 10 of the worst DC villains. You'll see him. This guy is Humpty Dumpty.
Codpiece.
Codpiece.
No. I'm not getting past Codpiece.
Codpiece. I read this one too. Apparently, he was rejected by many women, and he is short. But he took that to mean that other parts of him were not well endowed, and so instead what he does is strap a giant gun to his dick and start shooting things.
Not helpful for anyone. I opened that page and none of the pictures would load for some reason. I tried reloading it. Give me a sec. I have to go to a different browser to see this.
Yeah, you have to. Scroll down to number 9, because this is
I'm getting there.
Egg food. This guy looks just like an Asian version of Humpty Dumpty in the worst way possible. It is not good.
Oh man, he's got a penis hat. Codpiece does. I haven't scrolled down to egg foo. Okay. Blue snowman, incredibly threatening. The fiddler, ten-eyed
Yeah.
man. I thought it said teen-eyed man. And I was trying to figure out like what power that was. Clock King, Captain Boomerang, he's already there. Oh dear. Oh, he's an egg. He's a very, very big egg. Imagine like a grain silo. Like a grain silo grew a mustache, and that's who gets to fight Batman now.
Yeah, except he's like gigantic. Like you see those people like standing next to him. He's tiny.
Big.
Like, they're like ants compared to him. The thing says,
"Oh, he fights Wonder Woman, not Batman." I shouldn't have presumed.
It says, "Just look at this racist monstrosity there, from the Fu Manchu mustache to the mangling of the R's." Egg foo has always been a product of good old-fashioned xenophobia, with a lousy pun gimmick thrown in for good measure. This Wonder Woman adversary is just an enormous sentient egg and Chinese stereotype whose inexplicable existence has never been properly explained. Later incarnations of the character have tried to de-emphasize his blatant racism, but there's nothing else to expand upon when it comes to the rotten egg foo.
I wouldn't say no to a cleaned up egg foo. An egg foo people from all walks of life can get on board with. Like just a big egg. I don't have a problem with this.
Yeah, but I feel that's the thing. Like, I feel like that just goes into territory of, well, you have Egg Foo and you have Eggman, you have the Joker, you have the Trickster, and then number 10 on this list was the Prankster, and it's just like they're just repeating at this point. Like, you could have a whole Suicide Squad of the like same villain, just different names. It's like, oh, we all had the same idea, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
But who would you have?
I don't know much about comic books.
Right.
So just assorted like low-level villains from around. I want Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz. He's the leader.
I don't even know who that one is.
That's the guy. That's the mad scientist from Phineas and Ferb.
Oh,
which, by the way,
just going
there's a
for
new Phineas and Ferb movie on Disney Plus today.
That.
I started watching it. The team still got it. Very fun. Happy to have my family back.
Good.
I want Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz. I will take Egghead. Okay. I had more of these earlier. I did not write them down. I thought I would just remember. Oh, I want the angry scientist from Sheep in the Big City. Maybe too much of also a Heinz. I don't know. I'll take them both. You can't have too many crappy, vaguely European scientists of some kind. I want Pearl Forrester from Mystery Science Theater 3000. Okay. Kind of a lady in there. This has become very science heavy. I need like kind of a lunk, maybe.
Like Crunk.
Oh, only Pinky, not the brain.
and that's exactly how he would introduce himself to. So that's what everyone would think his name is. I am only Pinky, not the brain.
I believe he may be classified as a villain. I don't know. He's classified under henchman, I think.
He'd be more of a henchman.
Yeah. That's where the Guild of Calamitous Intent would put him. Oh, and I want Brick Frog.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Good stuff. So I was thinking just strictly DC Comics.
Okay.
So I didn't branch out, but I have 3 of them that I know I would want on my team. Number 1, you have to go with Condiment King. from DC Comics. Yes, Condiment King is the king of all condiments. If you need mustard, if you need relish, if you need ketchup, he has got you covered. Oh,
Ranch?
He's got it.
What about Cranch, the ketchup ranch?
What? No, that's terrible. Why would anyone think of that?
I don't know, but Griffin Newman is obsessed with it, and I've heard him talk about it on several
How do you spell
podcasts.
that? With a K? Cranch? I'm looking this up right now. This is disgusting. That looks gross.
It's like the same color as most other condiments.
Oh, whoops, let me see.
It's a pale orange. Many things are.
Yeah, it's... Oh, who mixes ranch and ketchup? What is wrong with you people?
The beloved actor and podcaster Griffin Newman, that's who.
Griffin Newman, I have some questions.
Griffin Newman, come on the podcast.
We've reviewed the Tick.
I only want to talk about Cranch.
I know you're a big fan of the Lego games because you were on the MinMax show, another podcast that I listened to. I have questions. Griffin Newman, please.
The Condiment King, an oral history.
So,
oh, he's got like a pickle hat. I like that.
Condiment King is fantastic. He's like the joke villain in DC Comics when you need someone who's completely ridiculous. Just like Marvel and Spider-Man has Paste Pot Pete, which is another great one.
He's sticky.
He makes a homemade glue, and he tries to like, I have glue guns, and I'll make you stick in place, and then will never catch me, coppers. And it's terrible.
I'm looking at pictures of Killer Moth, and
Killer Moth is another terrible one. But besides Condiment King,
but he looks cool.
Rainbow Rider. Rainbow Rider is pretty ridiculous. This guy has no powers except that he has special goggles that project light out that he can then use as like a glider. Like you've seen cartoons and stuff where like Iceman from the X-Men or something does that stuff. It's that, but rainbow. And he can also bathe people in certain colors of light and manipulate their emotions. So if he puts a blue light on you, you can be sad.
Oh no.
Rainbow Rider.
You're kind of like Rainbow Rider with all your color changing
lights
Philips Hues back there.
Don't underestimate me, you know?
Who's Kite Man?
Kite Man was my third one. Kite Man is also
he's just suggested when you're also looking at Killer Moth.
Kite Man, hell yeah, is great. He's also one of those kind of laughing stock villains. Apparently I think he was also in Batman Brave and the Bold or something, but I didn't remember that. And I thought the first time I saw him was in Tom King's run on Batman, his recent run on comics. I've been reading through all of that stuff. It's fantastic. And yeah, it's just this running joke that, Batman will end one of his issues or open one with like a one-page thing of him like capturing Kite Man and just beating the snot out of him, and the only thing he ever says is "Kite Man, hell yeah!" and so
only
at first, like at least in this running joke. And yeah, it just became this running joke that you would see Kite Man and he was just about to, get beat up by Batman Man and just be like, Kite Man, hell yeah. as he's all like bloodied and beaten up.
Oh.
But then the amazing thing that Tom King does in that is like 40 or 50 issues in, he does like a one issue origin story of like who actually is Kite Man, and it is such a gut punch, and it totally like flips your perspective, and you're just like, it's so sad. Batman, don't beat him up. Don't do this, Batman. Like, no, what are you doing? So it's fascinating, but Kite Man is just he gets nowhere with anything. He just has a giant kite. He's more like a hang glider kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not an actual kite. But so those were the three that I would have on my Suicide Squad team.
We didn't decide if we're also on this team.
I mean, I feel like if I was a villain, I would be smarter than Condiment King.
You're on the team above Suicide Squad.
Yeah, something.
You're on just like the 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 peril posse. I don't know.
Peril posse.
Just like mortal danger.
The Secret Six. There you go.
Yeah.
Secret Six.
Is that a thing already?
That's that
okay,
actually,
all right.
That's a book that I actually don't know anything about, and there's supposedly a really, really good run by Gail Simone. It's in DC Comics, and yeah, I think we should read that at some point.
Yeah.
So I've heard really, really good things, and I've always been curious. But yeah, it's well, I don't know much about it. So in my mind right now, yeah, it's like a version of the Suicide Squad, except they're not in jail. They don't have these like the explosives planted in them. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Who knows? So.
More to learn.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle, all I do lately is watch movies. Yes. I may start having a weekly movie corner.
Okay.
Melissa at the cinema, parentheses, the cinema is her couch. This is my list of films I've watched this week. Let's see. Jack and I watched The Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay.
Have you seen that one?
I don't think so. No.
It's very, very good.
What's the one we watched? Moonrise Kingdom, right?
We watched, yeah, and I think Grand Budapest is the one he must have made right after that because, it's set in a hotel and there's like a secret clandestine organization of like other hotel clerks that like all know each other and pull strings for each other, and some of the other bellboys are like a couple of the kids from Moonrise Kingdom, like some of the Boy Scouts.
I was about to ask you, like, is that the movie with this one actor? And then I was like, he just reuses all the same actors in all of his movies, so like there's no use.
Oh, it's the one with Ray Fiennes, Tony Revolori. But yeah, heckin' everybody's in it.
No, I have not.
It might be Willem Dafoe's. Willem Dafoe is in it. He's one of the antagonists. And it might be the scariest Willem Dafoe performance, which is saying a lot.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
It's a beautiful film. It's really funny. And I think Wes Anderson, as much as he's got the reputation for being this kind of cutesy, twee, whimsical guy, and he certainly is. But when he wants to devastate you, he can devastate you.
Like, that's the thing.
Those are really impactful movies.
To have a style as unique and defined as his style is, you can't just go into like movie making with only that. Because then it seems gimmicky and stuff like that. Like he's a great direct, like he knows how to do all of that stuff, and it's it's because like people like him understand the basics and stuff like that and have mastered that he can then like, okay, I'm gonna do my style and like my like one thing, and it's not seen as gimmicky or stuff like that. So
yeah. See, I watched that. I watched a documentary on YouTube called Live from the Space Stage, which is about Helix, which is in the summer of 1981 in Disneyland, in a small stage that they have in the Tomorrowland area where they would have bands and musical acts come and perform. For that one summer only, Disneyland tried to produce a sci-fi themed rock band.
So Melissa,
named
you
yes.
put this on our doc, and I was like, oh, I'll watch this because you put a link in the thing. It's an hour and a half, so I was like, okay, nope, not gonna watch that whole thing.
I didn't expect you to. This is for your future reference.
I watched the first 7. Excuse me, kind of have the hiccups. I watched the first 7 minutes. I had no idea there was a Mickey Mouse disco record.
This is how the documentary starts. Like, the Disney Records division was producing like soundtracks of their movies and like read-along records. And then they did a Mickey Mouse disco record, and they're like, this is good. Can we produce a more original record than this to try and bring up the records division, get it more business? So they try and create their own band, which is this Star Wars-inspired sci-fi band called Helix, this rock band. And it's got some humans in just like cool sci-fi looking clothing, but then they also imagineered some aliens. Like, there's a guy, if you Google this band, I don't know if you see it at the 7-minute point within that documentary.
I kind of saw like a couple clips of who they were, and they do have like these alien-looking creatures and stuff like that. So
there's like a little frog man, and there's a man in a huge like Wookiee outfit, but it's like if a Wookiee was based on a panda, and they're all like really elaborate. Like, this is Disney level costuming. There's a guy who's kind of like a stormtrooper, and he's the drummer, and he drives onto the stage in this little cart, and the cart like is his drum set. Yeah, like really deeply art designed sci-fi band for one summer. And then they just never came back again. And it faded into obscurity of theme park lore. And then Podcast The Ride, my very own boys, like referenced them in an episode, and people are like, Helix, what's Helix? And some people were like, I remember Helix. I thought I made that up. And so there was an outcry for more stuff about Helix and these people. It's the YouTube channel Defunct Land. If you've heard of this, it's a channel that covers defunct theme park attractions in these really great like mini documentaries. They produced a whole hour-and-a-half long documentary about Helix where they talked to everyone associated with the band that they could find.
Yeah. I'm looking at pictures and stuff right now. Kind of crazy. Yeah,
and it's an amazing
even have
story.
The like typical like 70s sci-fi poster where it's all like painted and the characters standing there with their legs spread and their arm up.
Yeah,
right? Like the Star Wars poster. It's kind of cool, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's such an odd thing that happened in the world, and then here's an hour and a half of explaining it to you and the real people behind it and what happened with their lives. And I cried at a documentary about a Disneyland band from 9 years before I was born.
Wild stuff.
I watched that this week. I rewatched The Mask.
Ooh. Yeah, how does that hold up? Because I don't imagine that holds up too well.
It's fine. It's very entertaining. It's no more dated feeling than any other movie of that time.
Okay. You know, that's based off of a comic book too. Yeah.
Yeah. Seems very like we were reading about how dark it is though. Like I think this Jim Carrey mask is like exactly the tone of mask I want. The one where he just goes around killing people. I don't know. I mostly just want him to crash a club and dance with Cameron
Cause
Diaz.
chaos.
Right? Wear a yellow suit for 3 minutes of the film, but it becomes his most iconic look. When I was a kid, I remember we had a mask plastic light switch plate that I believe came from a Taco Bell kids meal. Like they ran out of toys and they were like, I don't know, what about a light switch plate that your parents could screw onto the wall?
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm just like, well, what toy do we do next? Light switch covers.
I wish I still had it. I would absolutely use that today in my home.
No, it's terrible, Melissa. Don't do it. It's
Why
so
not?
tacky.
No, that's what I want. Have I told you that when I finally move into a house, when I have like a permanent space that's all my own, I want to decorate my dining room like a bar and grill. Like, you know, when you go into like a 54th Street or like the way Applebee's used to look, where they kind of, I guess in their eyes, classed him up a bit.
To,
you know, where there's just
reference what we're going to be talking about on the review show this week in that one Simpsons episode when Mo
yes,
does his diner into a family restaurant, and he's like, and we'll have a whole bunch of knickknacks
Uncle Mo's
on the wall.
family feedback. Yes, this is what I want my dining room to look like. I want to cover it in stuff.
Okay, that's not bad, but like
this is my design.
That I don't mind as much since it's all like let's just dedicate one room to this. Whereas instead of it's like your bedroom looks the way it looks right now, but then you just have like a light switch cover of The Mask, which is like what
the color scheme works. He's the same colors as my dresser.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, what, Melissa, why? Why this?
Should I have a classier? What if it was like Jim Carrey's character from The Majestic, a classier outing?
No Jim Carrey light switch covers, please.
No Grinch, no Dr. Robotnik. Okay, all right. I accidentally found myself on a Cameron Diaz kick lately.
Okay, like me and my
other week,
previous kick on, I still don't ever remember his name, Ryan Gosling or whoever he was. Yeah.
Yes.
I just happened to watch like 3 movies and they all starred him.
Yeah.
I didn't plan it at all until that third one, and I was just like, this one's been on my list too, might as well.
Yeah, here he comes. So I watched the other week Being John Malkovich, which I pitched to you for the review show before. I pitched it in a week that was all the weirdest movies I could find. It was that, A Town Called Panic, and Rubber. We ended up watching Rubber. No regrets. This movie's even weirder than I thought it was going to be, Kyle. It's deeply, deeply strange, seeped into every single corner of it. Beyond even the premise where you find a hole in a wall and you crawl into it and it lets you be renowned actor John Malkovich for 10 minutes.
Like Narnia, but John Malkovich.
Yeah, you're him. And like Cameron Diaz is in it and you don't recognize her at first. Like she's kind of frumpy looking. She's got this big frizzy wig and I'm like, oh my God, it's Cameron Diaz. I've only seen her be glamorous and or an ogre.
Okay.
An animated ogre. And she plays this woman who becomes like obsessed with being in John Malkovich's head. And she starts an affair with this other woman. And like she has a crush on that woman, but that lady's like, no, I only love you when you are John Malkovich. I don't love you by yourself or him by himself, but you as John Malkovich, that's what turns me on.
Interesting. Okay.
So I watched that. I watched the Mask, and then I watched one of the movies that we talked about in our Patreon Reactor Core episodes on old movie trailers, I watched My Best Friend's Wedding, which is a movie I've been meaning to see since I was 8 years old, and I saw the trailer for it on my VHS tape of Men in Black.
So you pitch this one of like, this is a movie trailer that I saw every time I watched Men in Black, and I watched Men in Black a whole lot, so I saw this trailer a million times, but you had never seen the movie. So
never.
Was it good? Did it live up to expectations?
Yeah, it's weirder than I thought it was going to be.
How is it weird? Because it looked like your standard like romantic comedy.
It's just kind of uncanny. You know how a lot of romantic comedies have, they don't take place in a real world in terms of things like, oh, there's no way you could afford an apartment on this salary. And, oh, you guys are falling in love. You've only known each other for a week. And it's things like that, but they're like heightened. Like, we watch this trailer. We see that the premise is that Julia Roberts has this man who she's been best friends with for forever. And years ago, they made a pact to like, okay, if we're not married by the time we're this old, we're marrying each other. That age is 28, which made me feel like a withered old crone, dust and bones.
We're about to be 30.
I don't like it. But so we know that was the premise. And then he calls her and she thinks this is going to be when he's like, yeah, I'm almost 28. So let's get hitched, pick out a dress. Yeah. And instead he's like, oh, I met someone. I'm getting married. I want you there. And then it's her trying to break up that marriage because she's realized she's in love with the friend, her best friend. So as previously hinted at in the title, My Best Friend's Wedding, it's him. So we've all that going on, but he calls her. I would have never known. He calls her and he's like, surprise, I'm getting married in 4 days.
Yeah.
Which is tremendously heightened.
That also makes it seem like he's the kind of or like they had the kind of relationship friendship thing where like he was always just emotionally distant and was never really there, but she always really liked him, and that was, and so it was kind of this like one-way street, like almost abusive thing. Like that's the thing that I think in my mind of like, if he's just springing this on her 4 days before it's happening, like, come on, dude, really? Like,
it's just very eerie writing because nobody talks about it. And so you've got things like that, or things like when she's in New York, she flies to Chicago. That's where this wedding is going to be. And then twice, she's a writer, Julia Roberts is. Twice her editor, who's like her new best friend in her life, since her previous best friend has been, they did get a little distant, separated by careers and such. Like her new best friend, twice, he just randomly like flies out to Chicago to like be there for her for emotional support. And then he just flies back, I guess. So you have like, it's just only like 10% weirder than average romantic comedy logic, right? But there's other just sort of odd things about it. The camera work is really frenetic and frantic and like stressful. Like the way it just like zooms around a room. Like I love it.
It's not a shaky cam thing where it seems like it's someone in the room with them, or is it just like quick
It's
cuts?
not that. But like, okay, there's a scene where Cameron Diaz and Julia and by the way, yes, she's the fiance. So 3 Cameron Diaz movies in like 10 days.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So, and she's worth it. I think I've been undervaluing her as an actor.
3 Camerons
Wonderful.
and 3 Diaz. No, okay.
De Los Diaz.
That's the episode title right there.
So there's a scene where they're in an elevator together and Cameron Diaz stops the elevator and she's trying to talk to Julia Roberts about how like, I know you're his best friend. I know he's adored you for forever. He holds you in such high regard. That's something I've been struggling with. I know you're always going to be this woman on a pedestal to him. I know you're always going to be number one in some categories for him. And Julia Roberts is like freaking out at this whole conversation. And the way the camera just like spins around them just cornering each other in a closed elevators, it's a lot. It's a lot in a way I'd like, but I was not remotely expecting. I think I told you about, we were talking about the scene in the trailer where like they all start singing in the restaurant. Yeah. And in that trailer, it looks like it's like, oh, their table, maybe a couple nearby tables. In this movie, it is the entirety of the restaurant. There's like 50 people. And like somebody starts playing the piano. Like it becomes not just people singing, but a full-on musical number for like 3 minutes in the middle of the movie out of nowhere. It's a good movie to look at, like the settings, costumes, cinematography. It's very nice. There's a beautiful shot where they're getting ready for the wedding, and the bride's family is rich. I think they're having the wedding at this big estate, and over on their tennis courts that they have. So they've blown up a bunch of balloons, and they're like holding them there under a net. So there's this huge net covering the tennis court. And underneath it are all these balloons, but they're like balloons with strings on them. So it's Julia Roberts walking through this like forest of strings, like ribbons that she has to push aside while this like rainbow light is shining down on her, being filtered through the balloons. It's one of those beautiful shots I've seen. But she's walking past, it's like the groom's teenage brother and like two of his friends or cousins or whatever. And, they're like sucking the helium out of the balloons and doing funny voices. And then nearby, there's Julia Roberts and the titular best friend having this really intense conversation. This is a romantic crux of the movie. And in the background, there's just those 3 heliumed up teenage boys. You don't even see them, but you hear them. They're singing some classic old love song in absolute perfect harmony.
In like Alvin and the Chipmunk style.
Right, and it's not a joke. It's just put in there like that's a normal musical track to have.
Weird.
Like, there's nothing buck wild about this film. There's just a lot of odd touches that make it feel very uncanny.
Interesting.
Oh,
so all right, wait.
One part of
hold
it.
on a sec. I
okay.
pulled up a scene on YouTube of Cameron Diaz and Julia Roberts in the elevator. A whole bunch of like, I think like a big Asian family just got off, and she stopped it. Is this that scene?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Because it was a little bit shaky. Yeah, this is actually exactly the one.
Right, like it's nothing wild, but it's a lot more than you would expect from what seems like a run-of-the-mill romantic comedy.
Yeah. Because they're like pacing back and forth in this thing.
So part of the movie, I told you that her editor best friend from New York like flies out to Chicago for emotional support. He's the one who like sings to her in the restaurant because they start this to try and make the best friend jealous. She's like, oh, I didn't want to tell you and like, steal the spotlight, but this is my fiance. We're getting married. And but he's, like I said, he just flies from New York out of nowhere. He's just suddenly there, and then he has to like turn right around and go back. So she's trying to explain why he just showed up to do this to the best friend. And what her line is she's like, oh, he just came here into town to fuck me. And I wasn't expecting a sexual connotation fuck in this, what I thought was a PG-13 movie.
You're allowed one.
And I had like this, yeah, but I thought it was in like an expletive sense. Were the rules different about this in 1997?
Actually, no.
I didn't think you could.
I don't know if there actually is like a hard rule. Like, you are allowed one F word in a PG-13. Here is a coupon for
Maybe
one
it's
F word.
Here's your fuck coupon. Is this an urban legend? Because I've also heard this.
Let me see.
But
hook it up.
It was such a weird... it's always weird to hear an actor say fuck for the first time.
Yeah.
And I had just this weird feeling watching this, like, oh, if I had watched this movie at the same age when I had watched the trailer, this would have been the first time I ever heard the word fuck. I don't remember what it was, but otherwise, in a different timeline, it would have been then. Julia Roberts, America's favorite smile, would have been the person to deliver this vocabulary unto me as a small one.
I don't know. Question on Quora. Why are PG-13 movies allowed to say the F word once? Continue
Quora.
reading. Work one of these is right? I don't know. Matthew Rogers answers saying the ratings board wants to prevent too much profanity from creeping, in quotation marks, into such movies, and mostly parents are on the panel that decide a movie's rating, so apparently they came up with the rule that basically allow virtually every other swear word, save for cunt and cocksucker, to be used freely in PG-13 rated movies. I don't know.
I haven't been tracing these cocksucker numbers. I didn't even think about that one.
They're counting the fucks, but are they counting the cocksuckers?
I did once, though. I took a TV writing class in college, and we watched the first episode of Deadwood, and I knew that was the main character's thing. That's something he said a lot. So I counted the amount of times he said cocksucker, and it was only like 4. And I'm like, I was led to believe it was many more times than this.
There was a film class I took. I don't know if it was actually like a film class or if it was one of my art classes or something like that. But we ended up watching the scene from the episode in The Wire where Bunk and why am I forgetting his name? The main dude from season 1. I
know nothing about The Wire. It's in Baltimore.
But so they
that's
are
the end.
They are investigating this crime scene, and for like 5 minutes straight, they say nothing but the word fuck. And it's just the word fuck in every context, in every kind of way, but that is literally the only thing that they say, and that's how they're communicating. And they're just like, fuck. And then he's like, fuck.
Art.
And he's like, fuck. Like, fuck. Fuck. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Fuck. And it's just like, how many times can you say? But it's like, that's the only thing that they say, and they're communicating so much. It's fantastic. It's great. Man. No. Yeah, I guess it actually is a real rule. I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever.
What have you been watching this week, Kyle, after I've told you about no less than 4 movies?
So I've actually felt like this week has been very productive for me. So I finished Lucifer season 5. I've been talking about Lucifer for the past month on this show. This is the last time, I promise, at least for some time, because I am now completely all caught up with that show.
Wow.
Yeah. Season 5 was really good. Both season 4 and season 5 are really, really interesting. This show is kind of like Mr. Robot in that way, that it's very different from where the show started. Like the Mr. Robot kind of grew into its own show, right? Like it had some influences and stuff that were very apparent in season 1, but by the end of that show, in season 2 as well and beyond, it was not as obvious what those influences were, or they were at least more adeptly handled. In a similar way, this show has grown so much. And because season 1 I would absolutely describe as just like a typical run-of-the-mill CSI style crime show where there's a new murder every single week and they just solve the case, and that's it. Except the whole thing with Lucifer is, but what if one of those detectives is the devil? Like, that's basically the entire show. By the end of season 4, that's not how I would really describe the show anymore. It's so much more than that. All of the relationships between all the characters are really complex. They give a lot more weight to the therapist from season 1. She has some great stuff. They do. You meet like Lucifer's other brothers besides Amenadiel. You meet other biblical characters. You meet Cain. You meet Eve.
That was in the random episode I watched with my dad. He's like, "Yeah, Lucifer's dating Eve now."
Yeah. Yeah, and like she's there for a while, but season 4 also introduced like, what if we did an episode or two that was like a two-parter, or they didn't solve that case, or they, something, so it's a little bit more of an arc. They also had more of a through line with like a main villain outside of the cases that they were working on, which is really interesting. And then season 5 takes that a step further, and they're on the case of a serial killer. And so there's been multiple murders. There's one point where they think they have arrested the killer and put him away, and then they realize that was a copycat. And they're just like, oh shit, he's still out there and stuff. And yeah, there's stuff like that, but then they do something really neat. That they're just like, besides the like, big bad of the whole season, they did a one-off episode, which I really hope they do more of down the road. I think season 5 is the last season of it. I don't know. I know.
I think there's supposed to be one more.
I think this might be the one more is the thing, but they're releasing season 5 in 2 parts is the thing. So there is still like
that might
one
be
more
it.
chunk coming down the road, but I don't know if they're going beyond season 5. But they did a one-off episode where Trixie, she's still in the show, and she is still by far one of my favorite characters. Her and Maze are like best friends. It's great.
I'm glad they still have that
it's
bond.
great. But Lucifer is hosting a game night at his apartment, and it's supposed to be the detective and Trixie and Maze and like the whole gang, and only Trixie shows up. And it's just like, what? Where's your mom? Like, how did you get here? Like, what the hell? And she's just like, well, my mom didn't. She ended up having to go do something else, or who knows what. And so it's only her and Lucifer, and he hates kids. He's just like, I don't want to have anything to do with you. Like, I just like, why is it you? Why are you here? But she ends up convincing him to tell a story. And so they're like, he's like, well, I have plenty of stories, and she's like, is it one that I can hear? And he goes, oh, well, okay. And then she goes, well, what about your ring? You have a ring on your finger. Tell me the story of that ring. So he looks at it and thinks, and he's like, yeah, I can tell that story. And he goes, one time, the devil went to New York City. The year was like 1946, and then it goes to New York, 1946. It's in black and white. It's filmed like a crime noir detective story, and it's
they did have colored film then, but okay.
But I mean, it's this like 1940s crime noir gangster
that
thing.
can be in black and white. I can't name a good colored noir.
And it's like it like they the thing where they're telling the story in another place, another time period, but they're reusing all of the same actors and stuff.
That's my favorite
it's
thing.
It's so good. I loved it.
God, I'm always a sucker for just using the same actors again in an alternate universe.
Except this is the same universe. It's just like Lucifer has been around for all of time, so there has to be these stories where he like came to Earth to do this one thing or this or that, and that's what he's telling. And I hope they do more of that because it was so good. But it's one of those things that like I want one of those per season or like per chunk because I can see it being too gimmicky and stuff. But still, like it was just like I like this. That plus the like overarching villain, like and the just complexity of the relationships. And there, we finally got to meet. Here's one thing. It's not a spoiler, but some people might think it's a spoiler, just to know that there is a certain character out there. But we have said some more of the biblical characters. We get to meet Michael, the archangel Michael, who is Lucifer's twin.
Whoa!
Yeah, and so it's the same actor, except he has an American accent.
Wowzers.
Yeah, so that's kind of wild too. There's all sorts of stuff, and there was kind of a cliffhanger at the end of this chunk from season 5, something that I didn't think they were going to do in this show, but I was like, okay. I am interested in seeing where this goes. So, good stuff. I've been watching Lucifer. I'm still doing my Gundam stuff. I binge watched all in one night season 3 of a Netflix show called Marcella. It is a British crime show about this woman who is a detective. And she struggles with a number of like mental issues or instabilities. Season 1 and 2, she's trying to solve a case, and she keeps blacking out and is like losing time. And evidence in the case that she's investigating is starting to point to her, as she was the one that did all of this stuff. And so she's trying to still like lead the investigation publicly while still like staying one step ahead of everyone else and be like, oh god, this wasn't me, right? Like, fuck, shit, god, you know, like I have to do something. And season 3 picks up sometime after that, and she is like deep undercover with a new name, all of that stuff in this like crime family in somewhere else. And that was 8 episodes long, and I binged that all in one night. I was just like, okay, gonna sit here and watch this whole thing. And finally, I started season 2 of Mindhunter, which I am really enjoying. So that's a good show if you like serial killers, stuff like that. It's slow. It's not for everyone, I will say that, but I really like that show.
I feel like I only slightly like crime. Like, there are crime people out there, and I'm at like, yeah, you are crime, and I'm at the stage where it's like, you should get around to watching Zodiac.
Well, believe it or
It's
not,
been on my list for
I
a
haven't
while. I
seen
think
that
this
one.
is the time when I finally watch it.
believe it or not, I haven't seen that one. So there you go. I also
right.
haven't. This is another one that's on my list of things, like my list of shame that I haven't seen. I haven't even seen The Godfather.
Yeah.
Like that whole series.
I've seen none of those. This is something I've been thinking about doing a series of pitches on, which is movie genres I sincerely do not know personally.
Absolutely.
I've never seen any kind of a mafia movie at all.
That's absolutely what we should do on the review show. To
Yeah.
explore all of the stuff that, like, what else is out there? What is I don't know anything about rom-coms. Let me find some rom-coms and you know.
Yeah.
You don't know stuff about mafia films or who knows what.
No, that's not the type of dad I had. Like, there are mafia movie dads out there, and my dad was like a Western
Pale Rider,
dad.
John Wayne.
Yeah, man who shot Liberty Valance.
Yeah.
All of them.
There you go. Yeah, we'll have to do something like that, or do like back-to-back weeks where we do our like list of shame of like, I don't know how I haven't seen this movie, but this is like pop culture 101. I'm pitching The Godfather.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we'd have to do all of them, I think.
Well, yeah, we'd have to do the entire series of that one, but like, yeah, we'd have to do like back to back. Okay, here is Kyle's pitches for movies he hasn't seen, but he probably should have by now. And then the next week
Kyle,
is
we're embarking on a new month. Do you want to make it Shame September?
Yeah, sure. Shame-filled September coming to the Whatnauts review show. All shame November, he said.
I'll just shame timber.
Oh man. Yeah, yeah, that's a.
I'm gonna get to work on this
thing, though. I don't know. I mean, it is once a year if we do it that way, but I don't like. That's the thing. I don't know. Yeah, let's make it once a year.
We don't have to do this every
Why
year,
not?
Kyle. I'm just saying. Well, let's see where we are next year. Maybe we've made tremendous strides by next year, and we don't have as much shame.
Maybe it all starts with
like
all shame September.
Really specific things.
Shame timber.
Now, do you want to do all shame September, or just you get a week, I get a week?
I feel like we should do 2 weeks. I get a week. You get a week.
You get a week. I get a week.
I mean, I feel like we can still call it all shame September. Maybe that's the thing where like those first 2 weeks is like, here are the actual movies that we should have seen by now, and then we do what you just mentioned of like, here's a genre that I like know nothing about, or here's a like a certain niche like niche type of movie that I don't know much about.
Yeah, or like I've never seen this director, or I don't know if I've ever watched a movie set in this time period or in this state of the country
or this actor. Like, I've never seen a movie with, and then I don't know, Eddie Murphy or something, right? Like, I don't know. But yeah, Shame Timber. Let's do it.
Shame Timber.
Well, is that the best month for it? Because so here's my only concern.
I don't know. Here's
my only concern.
It's alliterative and it's right now. What else do you have?
It might be the best one. My only concern is when I made the Whatnauts podcast, I was hesitant to do themed months because out of the fridge, which is like the huge inspiration why I was like, let's do a book club style thing. They did a book club style podcast, but it was only comics. And they did themed months. Every month was a different theme, and they had multiple hosts. So each week, a different host got to pick what they were doing. Like one month would be back to school. The next month would be the 1940s. You know, the next month would be like vampires, and stuff like that. So I didn't want to do themed months, is the thing. And so the fact that we would doing September and then go right into our October horror month thing that we've made a tradition.
Here, let's do just 2 weeks. You get a week, I get a week. Maybe this will be a theme we return to in the future. And I think it would be like, it's nice to go outside of your comfort zone. That's something you always say, but I don't know if I want to do that for an entire month straight.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
So oftentimes I like to pitch things like I've seen before, but it's been like 15 years, or that like I know well and would like to share with you, or like things we know that now I want to do. Like, well, we've all seen this movie. Let's talk about it deeply for an hour and a half. Yeah.
Good. I'm excited for stuff like that. Great. Shame-tember. 2-week special in Shame-tember. Great stuff.
Okay. Exciting news.
Well, with that, I say we wrap things up right there. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping before we get out of here, though. If you did not know, which hopefully you do, because we just announced Shame-tember, we have multiple podcasts here at the Whatnauts.
Yeah.
You guys can find out more information on our website, thewhatnauts.com, or your favorite podcasting platform of choice. Just type in the Whatnauts and all of our shows will pop up right there. If you like what we do, patreon.com/the Whatnauts is where you can support us for as little as $1 a month. At our $3 tier, there's all kinds of exclusive content for all of our shows. And we would like to give a big shout out to our Patreon supporters at the $5 tier. So thank you, Sam, for helping us out and being a supporter for so long. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam.
But that's about it. So, Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at WilkyWit. That's WILKYWIT.
And you can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter and Instagram. You guys can stay up to date with our shows at The Whatnauts on Twitter. Go like, share, subscribe, tell a foe, tell a friend, make it theater. If you know what I mean. I don't know. I don't know where that came from.
You keep dropping vowels out of it like you're a fancy gambit.
Theater, my dear. Theater. I don't know what you mean, sugar. And with that, let's get out of here. This has been episode 109 of the Captain's Log. We will be back next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for checking out our podcast. We hope you enjoyed that one. Leave a comment down below. What movies are in your list of shame? We would like to know that. In the meantime, go subscribe to our channel, which is right up here in this corner, and go watch one of our other videos right down there in that corner, because that would help us out a ton as well. We got plenty more where that came from, and maybe a completely different show too. Who knows? But yeah, we will see you guys next time. Bye.